At my own birthday party, the man I thought I was going to raise a family with handed me a beautifully wrapped gift box in front of everyone we knew. I thought it was going to be a ring. Instead, inside the box was a note that destroyed my entire life in less than 10 seconds. He smiled while I read it. Our friends laughed because they thought it was a joke. Then he walked out the door and left me standing there carrying a secret he knew nothing about. 2 months later, that same man was drunk outside my house in the middle of the night screaming my name while neighbors peeked through their curtains. By then, everything had changed, especially me. My name is Lily, and until that night, I honestly believed Justin and I were building a future together. We had been dating for a little over 3 years, and for most of that time, our relationship looked solid from the outside. He was the kind of man who knew exactly how to make people like him. He remembered birthdays, opened doors, complimented strangers, and made eye contact when people spoke to him. He knew how to perform being a good person so naturally that even when small cracks appeared, I ignored them because the overall picture still looked beautiful. We moved in together after our first year of dating into a tiny apartment with old pipes, uneven floors, and rent that should have been illegal for the amount of space we had. We joked that our kitchen was basically a hallway with a stove shoved into it. Still, I loved that apartment because it felt like the beginning of something real. We built routines together there: Sunday grocery trips, late night takeout, falling asleep on the couch halfway through movies we swore we wanted to watch. For a while, I genuinely believed I had found my person, but Justin cared deeply about appearances in a way I never fully understood until later. Everything had to look successful. The right restaurants, the right clothes, the right vacations posted online with captions carefully crafted to look effortless. He spent money like he was trying to convince the world he was already wealthy. I used to tease him about it, but now I realize it was never harmless vanity. It was insecurity wrapped in expensive packaging. About 4 months before my birthday, I started feeling strange. I was exhausted constantly. I would wake up nauseous and spend entire mornings pretending I wasn't fighting the urge to throw up. At first I blamed stress from work, but one evening after staring at a pregnancy test box for 15 minutes in a pharmacy checkout line, I finally bought one just to rule it out. I still remember sitting on the bathroom floor waiting for the result. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the test. When those 2 pink lines appeared, it felt like the entire room shifted sideways. I stared at it for so long my legs went numb beneath me. I wasn't scared exactly, I was overwhelmed. My brain immediately started racing through every possible future at once. The first person I told was my best friend, Barbara. We had planned a girls' night at her apartment, and the second I refused wine, she narrowed her eyes at me like a detective solving a case. Barbara had known me since college. She could read my moods before I even understood them myself. When I finally admitted I was pregnant, she didn't scream or cry or immediately ask if Justin would propose like half the internet thinks women want. Instead, she asked me practical questions. Was I happy? Did I feel safe? What did I want? Had I seen a doctor yet? Her grounded reaction helped me breathe again. As for Justin, I decided to wait before telling him. My birthday was coming up in 3 weeks, and I thought it would be the perfect moment. We already had plans for a small party at our apartment with close friends and family. I imagined announcing the pregnancy after cake, maybe pulling out tiny baby shoes or something cute and emotional. Looking back now, I almost laugh at how innocent I still was then. The weeks before my birthday felt off in ways I couldn't fully explain. Justin started coming home later. He guarded his phone more carefully. Sometimes I would be talking to him and realize he hadn't heard a single word I said. I told myself he was stressed from work because his company had been making cuts recently. I wanted an explanation that didn't hurt. Then, about 2 weeks before my birthday, I accidentally found the first real crack. I was looking through his desk for stamps because I needed to mail paperwork. And underneath a stack of receipts, I found a credit card statement I had never seen before. Justin and I were open about finances, or at least I thought we were, but this card was unfamiliar. I probably should have put it back immediately, but something in my stomach tightened the second I saw hotel charges. There were expensive dinners, jewelry purchases, weekend bookings, and charges that made absolutely no sense based on the life we were supposedly living. I sat there staring at those statements while my pulse hammered in my ears. Later that week, when Justin left his Apple Watch charging in the bathroom while he showered, text notifications started lighting up the screen. At first I tried to ignore them, then I saw the heart emojis, the nicknames. The messages asking when they could finally spend a whole weekend together. The contact name was just the letter M. I already knew. Maria, one of my friends, a woman who had eaten dinner at my table, hugged me hello, and listened to me talk about my future while secretly sleeping with my boyfriend. I didn't confront him, not then. Something cold and sharp settled inside me instead. I started paying attention, watching, listening. The more I observed, the more obvious everything became. Justin thought he was smarter than everyone around him. Men like that usually get careless eventually. By the time my birthday arrived, I already knew our relationship was dying. What I didn't know was how cruel he planned to be about it. The party started around 6 that evening. Barbara came early to help set up food while Justin supposedly picked up the cake. Somehow that errand took nearly 3 hours. At the time I ignored the weirdness, because I was too focused on surviving pregnancy nausea while pretending vodka soda was actually vodka soda. Our apartment filled with people we loved. Music played softly in the background. Everyone was laughing, drinking, talking over each other in the comfortable way old friends do. Barbara kept catching my eye from across the room and smiling because she knew what I planned to announce later. Around 9 o'clock, Justin stood up and tapped his glass with a fork. The room quieted instantly. My heart started pounding because for one wild second, I thought maybe he somehow knew about the pregnancy already. Maybe he was going to propose, maybe all my fears had been wrong. He started giving this emotional speech about how special I was, how much he appreciated me, how lucky he had been to share his life with me. He looked directly into my eyes the entire time. And now when I replay it in my head, I realize he was enjoying himself. Then he handed me a small wrapped box tied with a silk ribbon. People actually pulled out their phones to record. Smiling nervously, I opened it. Inside was a folded note. I remember unfolding the paper slowly because my fingers suddenly felt clumsy. Then I read the words. I am leaving you. You are useless and I deserve better. Your things will be packed by Monday. At first I genuinely thought it had to be some kind of horrible joke. I looked up waiting for him to laugh and say surprise. Instead, his expression had completely changed. The warmth disappeared from his face like a mask being removed. He looked cold, detached, almost entertained. Then he said loudly enough for everyone to hear that he had outgrown me and wanted more from life than babysitting dead weight. Some people laughed because they still thought it was a prank. Then Justin walked out the front door without another word. The silence afterward felt physically painful. I stood there frozen holding that note while every person in the room stared at me waiting for some explanation that never came. My pregnancy announcement sat trapped in my throat while humiliation spread through my entire body like fire. Barbara crossed the room first. She took the note from my hands, read it once, and muttered that he was a disgusting coward. After that, the room exploded into confusion and overlapping voices. And me, I smiled, not because I was okay, I wasn't. Not because I wasn't devastated, I absolutely was. I smiled because in that exact moment, I realized Justin had made a catastrophic mistake. He thought he controlled the narrative. He thought he had orchestrated some dramatic cinematic breakup where he got to walk away powerful while I collapsed publicly behind him. But he didn't know about the pregnancy. He didn't know I had already uncovered his affair. And most importantly, he didn't understand who I became when someone backed me into a corner. I am not the kind of woman who self-destructs under pressure. I become calm, strategic, dangerously patient. So I smiled and thanked everyone for coming. I assured them I would be okay. I even sliced birthday cake while my entire world was collapsing internally. Maria left the party almost immediately claiming she suddenly felt sick. That told me everything I needed to know. After everyone else finally left, Barbara stayed with me. The second we were alone, I completely broke apart. I cried so hard my chest hurt. Pregnancy hormones probably intensified everything, but honestly, betrayal like that would break anyone. Barbara held me through all of it without giving empty motivational speeches. She just stayed beside me while I unraveled. Eventually, sometime after 2 in the morning, I finally told her the whole truth. About the pregnancy, about the hidden credit card, about the messages between Justin and Maria. I showed her screenshots I had secretly taken over the previous weeks. Barbara looked horrified. Then she asked the question everyone else probably would have asked immediately. Was I going to tell Justin about the baby? I said not yet. He would find out eventually, but it would happen on my terms, not his. The next morning felt surreal. Justin never came home. Barbara made coffee and pancakes while acting like my apartment hadn't become a crime scene for my emotional stability. Meanwhile, my phone exploded nonstop with messages from friends asking if I was okay. Most people were supportive. A few were clearly fishing for drama. Maria said nothing. That silence spoke volumes. I spent the entire day making lists because focusing on logistics kept me from drowning emotionally. I researched tenant laws since both our names were on the lease. I organized financial documents. I scheduled a doctor appointment. I opened a separate bank account. Around noon the following day, Justin texted me, "I will come by at 7 for my stuff, make sure you are gone." I stared at that message in disbelief. The arrogance almost impressed me. I simply replied with one word, "No." He immediately called. I declined every attempt. Then I called Barbara. By 6:30 that evening, my apartment was full of people: Barbara, Aaron, Sergio, my cousin Lana. They spread themselves around the living room like a protective wall. Justin arrived exactly at 7 and looked irritated until he realized he had an audience. Aaron handed him a suitcase containing some clothes and essentials and calmly informed him the rest of his belongings would be available later, when he learned how to behave like a human being. Justin kept trying to make eye contact with me while pretending this entire situation was somehow my fault. Finally, he demanded to know why I was acting dramatic. Dramatic. The man who publicly dumped me at my birthday party called me dramatic. I told him he was lucky I hadn't changed the locks already and that future communication could go through lawyers, if necessary. The word lawyer visibly rattled him. He grabbed the suitcase and left while muttering something about me needing attention. After he walked out, I cried again. Not because I missed him, that part was already dying. I cried because I was mourning the future I thought I had. The family I imagined, the version of him that apparently never existed. The next morning, I changed the locks. A few days later, Sergio finally confirmed what I already knew. He admitted he and Aaron had suspected Justin and Maria were involved for months after spotting them together repeatedly. They hadn't told me because they hoped they were wrong. Hearing it still hurt. There is something uniquely painful about betrayal involving two people you trusted simultaneously. It makes you question every memory connected to both of them. Still, I stayed calm. I met with a lawyer regarding the apartment and financial separation. Since Justin and I weren't married, things were simpler legally but still messy emotionally. 2 weeks after the breakup, Justin asked to meet for coffee. Curiosity won. When I saw him, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked exhausted, unshaven, his clothes were wrinkled. The polished, confident version of Justin was already cracking apart. He launched into excuses immediately. He claimed he had been unhappy for a long time, claimed the breakup was necessary, claimed we had grown apart. I listened quietly until I finally asked one question. Was Maria worth it? The panic on his face was immediate. He started denying everything so fast he practically tripped over his own lies. I interrupted him and calmly listed the hotel charges, the jewelry receipts, and the text messages I had already seen. He went silent. Then came the part that truly changed how I viewed him forever. He asked how I planned to afford the apartment alone. Not whether I was okay, not whether he had traumatized me. Money, that was what concerned him. And suddenly everything clicked together. Justin had been pretending to live a lifestyle he could no longer support. His finances were falling apart long before our breakup. I had quietly been covering most of our rent and bills for over a year while he played successful businessman online. He needed me financially far more than I needed him. I smiled and told him I would survive because, unlike him, I actually understood budgeting. The color drained from his face. That conversation freed me emotionally more than anything else had. For the first time, I saw him clearly without love blurring the image. He wasn't powerful, he was insecure, and insecure people eventually destroy themselves. Over the next several weeks, I focused entirely on rebuilding my life. I attended prenatal appointments. I rearranged the apartment to feel like mine again. I started saving aggressively and planning for the baby. Meanwhile, through mutual friends, I heard constant updates about Justin and Maria. Apparently their relationship was already imploding, shocking absolutely nobody. Maria had believed Justin was financially stable because that was the image he carefully projected. Once reality started surfacing, arguments followed quickly. They fought publicly in restaurants. He blamed stress, she blamed dishonesty. Then one afternoon at the grocery store, I literally ran into Maria. She looked awful, tired, anxious, emotionally drained. For a few seconds we just stared at each other beside the frozen food section like two people who barely recognized themselves anymore. Then she nervously explained that Justin told her we had already been emotionally separated before their affair started. I almost laughed. Cheaters always recycle the same script. She admitted he had promised things that turned out to be lies. Vacations, financial stability, plans for the future. I finally told her that sounded like her problem now. And honestly, I meant it. About 6 weeks after the breakup, my pregnancy started becoming visible. I told my boss first, who'd thankfully responded with kindness and flexibility. Then I slowly started sharing the news with friends and family. Eventually, word reached Justin. His texts started arriving almost immediately. "Are you pregnant? Why didn't you tell me? We need to talk. This involves me too." At first, I ignored him because I genuinely needed time to decide what kind of involvement I even wanted from him. But his messages grew increasingly aggressive until he finally texted that he would come over if I didn't respond. That finally pushed me to answer. I told him clearly that showing up uninvited would result in police involvement and that I would contact him when I was ready. For 2 days, he stayed silent. Then came the night everything finally exploded. It was close to midnight when I heard pounding outside my house. At first, I thought maybe neighbors were arguing. Then I heard my name being screamed repeatedly. "Justin, drunk," loud enough for half the neighborhood to hear. Barbara was staying over that night and immediately looked out the window. Justin stood on the sidewalk swaying slightly, yelling about how I ruined his life. He kept demanding to know why I hid the pregnancy from him, while also insisting we were supposed to fix things. The irony almost gave me a headache. I walked onto the porch while Barbara stayed inside, ready to call the police if necessary. Justin looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, and he smelled like alcohol even from several feet away. He started rambling immediately about mistakes and misunderstandings and how Maria had manipulated him. Apparently they had already broken up, again shocking nobody. Then he looked at my stomach. For the first time, reality visibly hit him. There was actually a baby. His baby. He started crying. Real tears. And for one dangerous second, old instincts almost resurfaced. 3 years of loving someone does not disappear overnight. Part of me still remembered the man I thought he was. Then he blamed me for not telling him sooner. Just like that, the sympathy vanished. I asked him if he genuinely believed a man who publicly humiliated the pregnant mother of his child deserved immediate honesty and emotional access. He had no answer. Neighbors were watching opally now from windows and porches. Justin kept talking louder, desperate to regain control of a situation already collapsing around him. Finally, I told him the truth. I said the reason he was standing drunk outside my home at midnight was because he spent his entire life treating people like supporting characters in a story centered around himself. The moment reality stopped matching the image he wanted, everything fell apart. He tried apologizing then, really apologizing for the first time. But apologies become meaningless when they only appear after consequences arrive. I told him I would communicate regarding the baby through proper legal channels and only if he could behave respectfully. Then I walked back inside and locked the door while he stood outside calling my name. That was the last time I cried over Justin. These days, my apartment feels peaceful again. The nursery is slowly coming together. Barbara jokes that my child already has enough protective adults to form a small army. Aaron assembled the crib after swearing at the instructions for 2 straight hours. Lana mailed handmade baby blankets from another state. People showed up for me in ways I never expected. And honestly, that experience changed me more than the betrayal itself. Because when someone humiliates you publicly, you discover very quickly who truly loves you. Some people disappear the moment life becomes inconvenient, others quietly help you rebuild. Justin thought leaving me would destroy me. Instead, it forced me to see my own strength clearly for the first time. One day my child will ask about their father, and when that happens, I will tell them the truth carefully and honestly. I will tell them people sometimes make selfish choices. I will tell them love without respect is never enough. And I will tell them that even after heartbreak, life can still become something beautiful. Because the night Justin handed me that cruel little note, he believed he was ending my story. He never realized he was only removing himself from it.